Let's make the perfect Indian butter chicken at home. Indian butter chicken, or Murg Makhani, is a culinary delight with a rich history. Originating from the kitchens of the Mughal Empire, it quickly gained popularity, not just in India, but across the globe. This dish, with its creamy tomato-based sauce and tender pieces of chicken, is a fusion of flavors that tantalizes the taste buds like no other. It encapsulates the essence of Indian cuisine with its aromatic spices, including garam masala, cumin, and coriander, and the rich, luscious texture provided by butter and cream. The tanginess of tomatoes, the heat of chili, and the sweetness of honey are all balanced perfectly in this dish. With the right ingredients and a little bit of patience, you can replicate this royal feast in your own kitchen. So, are you ready to bring this royal feast to your kitchen? Let's dive in. For a dish as rich and flavorful as Indian butter chicken, it's all about the ingredients. Our first ingredient, of course, is chicken. We'll need about 2 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken thighs. Why thighs, you may ask? Well, they're juicier and more flavorful than breasts, which makes them perfect for this dish. Next up is butter. After all, it wouldn't be butter chicken without it. We'll need about half a cup of unsalted butter. It adds a silky richness to the dish that's absolutely irresistible. The base of our sauce is tomato puree, about 1.5 cups. The tomatoes add a beautiful color and a slightly sweet, tangy flavor that balances out the richness of the butter and cream. Speaking of which, our next ingredient is heavy cream. We'll need about a cup. The cream adds a velvety texture and a bit of sweetness that ties the whole dish together. Then, of course, we have our spices. The exact blend is a matter of personal preference, but common choices include garam masala, cumin, coriander, and chili powder. Each spice adds a different layer of flavor, creating a depth and complexity that's truly tantalizing. We'll also need some fresh ginger and garlic for a bit of zing, and some honey to balance out the heat. A little bit of lemon juice adds a burst of freshness that brightens up the whole dish. Finally, we'll need some fresh cilantro for garnish. It adds a pop of color and a burst of fresh, herbaceous flavor. Each ingredient plays a crucial role in the dish. The chicken provides a hearty base, the butter and cream add richness, the tomato puree and spices create a flavorful sauce, and the ginger, garlic, honey, and lemon juice add a balance of heat, sweetness, and acidity. The cilantro, of course, is the finishing touch, adding a bit of visual appeal and a final layer of flavor. Now that we have our ingredients ready, it's time to start cooking. First up, we marinate the chicken. This process is more than just a quick dip in some sauce. Marinating is a symphony of flavors that tenderizes the chicken and infuses it with a depth of taste that's essential for a delicious Indian butter chicken. So, let's whip up our marinade. You'll need yogurt, a splash of lemon juice, a generous heap of minced garlic and ginger, and a medley of spices. Think turmeric, garam masala, cumin, and a pinch of cayenne pepper for a little heat. Mix them all together until it's a rich, aromatic paste. Now, introduce your chicken to the marinade. Make sure every piece is well coated and then let it rest. This is when the magic happens. The acid in the yogurt and lemon juice starts breaking down the chicken, making it tender, while the spices seep into every pore, creating an explosion of flavors. Once the chicken is well marinated, we move on to the next step: cooking the chicken. Now let's fire up the stove and cook our marinated chicken. What we're aiming for is a chicken that's perfectly tender on the inside, with a slightly charred exterior for a bit of crunch. To achieve this, we'll cook it in 2 stages. First, we sear the chicken to lock in the flavors, and then we simmer it to allow it to cook thoroughly. To start, heat up a large, heavy-bottomed pan over medium-high heat. A cast iron skillet would be perfect for this. Once it's hot, add a dollop of ghee or butter. As it melts and starts to sizzle, lay the chicken pieces in the pan, making sure not to overcrowd it. You might need to do this in batches. Searing the chicken in a hot pan is crucial as it seals in the juices and gives the chicken that delightful caramelized crust. Now let them sizzle away for about 3 to 4 minutes on each side, or until they develop a nice golden brown color. Resist the temptation to move them around too much. Patience is key here. Once they're beautifully seared, remove the pieces from the pan and set them aside. Next, reduce the heat to medium and add the remaining marinade to the pan. This is where the second stage of the cooking process begins. Return the chicken pieces to the pan, nestling them into the marinade. Let them simmer gently for about 10 to 15 minutes, or until the chicken is cooked through. You'll know it's ready when the juices run clear when you insert a knife into the thickest part of the chicken. What we have now is a pan full of succulent, flavorful chicken pieces ready to be smothered in our creamy, buttery sauce. This two-stage cooking process ensures that our chicken is not only flavorful but also perfectly cooked, tender and juicy on the inside, with a satisfyingly crispy exterior. With our chicken beautifully cooked, we can now prepare the heart of the dish, the buttery, creamy sauce. The buttery, creamy sauce of this dish is where all the magic happens. It's the heart and soul of our Indian butter chicken, so let's dive right in. To begin, let's make sure that our pan is at a medium heat. Now let's pour in our tomato puree. This is the base of our sauce, and it's what gives it that iconic tangy flavor. As the puree simmers, the flavors will intensify, creating a richness that will elevate our dish. Let it cook for about 10 to 15 minutes, stirring occasionally to prevent any scorching. While our tomato puree is simmering, let's talk spices. Indian cuisine is known for its complex and vibrant spice profiles, and our butter chicken is no exception. For this dish, we're going to need a combination of garam masala, turmeric, cumin, and chili powder. These spices will give our sauce a beautiful color and a depth of flavor that will make your taste buds dance. Now, it's time to add our spices to the simmering tomato puree. As they hit the heat, you'll notice an aromatic symphony, a delightful preview of the flavors to come. Stir the spices into the puree, making sure they're fully incorporated. Allow this to cook for another 5 minutes, letting the spices meld with the puree. Finally, it's time for the piece de resistance of our sauce, the cream and butter. The cream adds a velvety texture to our sauce while the butter gives it a luxurious richness. Pour in the cream and let it simmer until it's fully incorporated. Then, add the butter, stirring until it's melted and mixed in. You'll notice your sauce transform into a silky, creamy delight right before your eyes. And there you have it. A sauce that's rich, tangy, spicy, and oh so buttery. This is the essence of the Indian butter chicken, a symphony of flavors that will make your dish unforgettable. Our sauce is ready. It's time to combine it with our cooked chicken and let all the flavors meld together. The final step in our cooking process is to combine the chicken and sauce. This is where the magic really happens. We've prepared our succulent chicken, we've created our rich, aromatic sauce, and now it's time to bring these two elements together. Let's gently add the cooked chicken into the sauce. Remember, we want the chicken to be fully immersed in the sauce, allowing it to absorb all those wonderfully complex flavors. This isn't a process to be rushed. Let's allow our dish to simmer gently on a low heat. As the chicken simmers, it's absorbing those spices, those flavors, that richness. It's like a symphony in a pot, each ingredient playing its part to create a dish that's greater than the sum of its parts. Allow this delicious fusion to continue for about 10 to 15 minutes. The longer it simmers, the more flavorful the chicken becomes. And there you have it, a mouth-watering dish of Indian butter chicken ready to be served and savored. Congratulations, you've just prepared a delicious Indian butter chicken. Let's quickly recap this culinary journey. We started with the freshest ingredients, breaking them down into manageable pieces. Then we skillfully marinated the chicken, allowing those vibrant spices to infuse every morsel. The chicken was then cooked to perfection, ensuring it was tender and full of flavor. Next, we crafted the rich, creamy sauce, a symphony of spices and butter that makes this dish so iconic. Finally, we united the chicken and sauce, letting them simmer together to create that unforgettable flavor. Now it's your turn. Bring the taste of India into your own kitchen by following these steps. Feel free to add your own twist, maybe a touch of extra heat, or a sprinkle of your favorite herb. Share your experiences, triumphs, and delicious mistakes. After all, every great chef started somewhere. Thank you for joining us today. Stay tuned for more delicious recipes from around the world.